Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Works with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to UFO Undercover. I'm your host, Joe Montaldo. Hope everyone's having a great evening wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet, whether you're here in the United States or in the Southern Hemisphere, or if you're over and maybe you're down in Aussie. Man, I got some Aussie friends down there. If y'all listen tonight, hey, Aussie guys, what y'all up to tonight? Australia's a great place, but really and truly, there's nowhere we don't broadcast to anymore. It's funny, I always pick on people because, we started broadcasting in North Korea. 3 or 4 years ago, we had like one listener. I had no idea who it was. And then about 2 years later, we had 3 listeners. Whew. I think recently we went from 5 to 7 to 9 to 11. We're at like 14 listeners there now. I have no idea. From what I hear about North Korea, there's not even much in the way of internet or cell phones there. So it's got to be someone that's got some kind of connections that's listening. It can't just be everyday citizens, because they wouldn't be allowed to listen to me talk about aliens and UFOs and other sorts of things that go bump in the daytime or bump in the night, however you want to look at it. Don't forget, following this show tonight is The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. You can catch them every Wednesday and Thursday. It's a great show to listen to. And don't forget, tomorrow we have Jeffrey Pritchett opening up the Church of Mavis. I think he has Wham with him tomorrow night, Jay. And then, of course, after them, following them is The Centralist with myself and Michael Angley, and sometimes Jay McNichols is with us. We are looking for a female host for the show. It's been, we just haven't found one yet. Let's put it like that. Before anybody asks, it's not so much your political view, just that you know your politics. So we really prefer someone that's somewhere in the middle. Could be a little left, a little right, but really closer to the middle than far left or far right. We're not really looking for that. I mean, we have shows like that on the network, and we will establish shows like that on the network. But other than that, we're just not actually looking. It's not an ongoing thing, I should say. Anyway, I got distracted there for a second. My evil animals were coming in my room, but my little bitty evil animals. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to what we were saying, uh, we are looking for one female host for the Centralist. And yeah, as you see, the name of the title is the Centralist, so we would prefer your view stay there. As far as no, it doesn't matter what color you're. Who wrote that shit? No, indeed not. We on all you have to do is know your politics and are able to speak on radio without getting scared or nervous. And look, if you're new to it but you're good, we'll work with you to develop. I mean, I've had a lot of hosts on the network over the years. I mean, this is our fifth. I think it's our fifth incarnation. It's either fourth or sixth. I don't know. Anyway, we'll just say it's our fifth incarnation of host in the last 25 years. So about every 5 or 6 years, we start having new shows come on. Now, some of the hosts, there are some hosts that have been here a long time, like Jeffrey and Michael, have both been here over 10 years. And of course, I've been here forever. Before then, we had hosts on the network that had been here 15 years. But, people retire, people get other jobs, people get married, have children, just different things going on in life. So and besides that, we like to change the mix of the station's shows from time to time because we like doing politics. We like talking about religion. We like talking about aliens and ghosts and demons. We like talking about everything, really. There might be 1 or 2 topics we stray away from. But for the most part, we really do like talking about everything. So if you're interested in a show, you can always contact me at icrycox.net. And that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. Or if you catch me on a Facebook page, but to be honest with you, if you write to me on my Facebook or Messenger, it may be weeks before I get back to you. If you know someone who has my cell phone number, usually it'll still take me a couple of days to get back, but still, I will get back with you in a couple of days. Email is easiest. I get a lot of email, but I always go by what comes in those days so I can mark them as stuff that I have to read, like, people looking for shows. And of course, we've always got paid shows on the net. We got shows start at $100 a month and up from there, depending on what you're looking for and what kind of time slot you're looking for. So you can always do that, and then we'll just help you develop your show all around. But sometimes I go out and look for hosts, or I'll see hosts on other networks that are just not being treated right, or not really, using their potential. And I'll ask them if they want to come here. Or sometimes I'll take co-hosts of other shows and give them their own shows if we think that can happen. Just recently, I had been talking with Trish Moe for a while. After Chasing Prophecy, and she could really hold her own with me, which is nice, which is not an easy thing to do, because I can be chatty catty when I want to be. What is it, Karen? Now, so we'll just say chatty Karen, but I'm just kidding. But anyway, it's hard to keep up with me. So, and you got to really know your stuff to do it. And she held pretty well. And I talked to Michelle DeRoche, who is the manager of the network and has been for a while now. And we talked about it. We thought it would be a nice fit, so we offered a show on Monday. It's called The Missing Piece. Be sure to go over there and check it out. Yes, and Glenn, you're right. I don't usually talk about this show stuff earlier on this particular show, but I'm going to be out for a while, so I want to get some of this stuff out. As far as some Friday night, 50-50, I got to get with Michael. I should be in Atlanta Friday night for Dragon Con. Yes, if anybody wants to see me, I will be in Dragon Con having a ball. I'll be there for press, a lot of it, but I will be there also to have some fun too. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and probably Monday, so come on down. If you live in Atlanta or you come down, I mean, I got a lot of friends in DC. Come on, guys. DC is a hop, skip, and a jump from Atlanta. If you fly, it's like an hour and a half. If you drive, I think it's 8. So just come on down, hang out, and visit. If you want to catch up with me while you're there, because it's a big place. Now, remember, I can't remember if it's 5 hotels or 7 hotels and the convention center, plus all the little stuff going around the city of Atlanta. So it's a lot to see, a lot to do. And, it's a lot hard to catch up with people. I will be, from different days, I'll be hanging out with the writers of Future Bunch because I got some friends over there. I'll be talking with a lot of different authors and illustrators because I do that in April, so I like to catch up with them when I can. But I'll be all over the place. I'll be taking pictures of people attending panels. So I'll just we'll be all over the place. So the best thing to do is if you want to catch up with me, just write me at icrycox.net. I'll check my email 4 or 5 times during the day because we will be doing some live broadcasting from there as well. So that way I can catch up. We can have lunch and chit chat, maybe show us stuff. If you're from Atlanta, you can show me around. If not, I got relatives in Atlanta, so I'm kind of familiar with Atlanta. Not as much as I'd like to be, but kind of. But anyway, enough about all of that. Yes. The topic for the night is why in the hell are aliens coming here? Part deuce. Wow. Sorry, guys. I did not realize I didn't have that off. Now it is off. So, I talk about this from time to time. So, let's just take this a different way. Let's say that Joe Biden is flying through the universe in his flying saucer. He's cruising along, sublight. I mean, warp. He's maybe say warp 5, 6, and this little thing goes off. Oh, and there's life on this planet. So he takes a little detour, goes over there, sets down. He looks around and he sees us. Okay, now we're talking about somebody who's been here. We're not getting into nothing like that yet, people. As far as if the aliens put us, that's for later in the show. But we're just assuming that there was us when he came by. So he comes on flying by and he sees us. Okay, maybe 1,000 years ago, maybe 2,000 years ago. If you go by the Vatican stuff, 6,000 years ago or longer. But anyway, he sees us and he's thinking, well, this is an interesting group of people. Look at the artwork. Look at the literature. In some ways, they're really, really brilliant. In some ways, they're complete and utter morons. So it's a really, we're a hot and cold society. And meaning that is we got brilliant artwork. We got brilliant, just when it comes down to certain things in art, from literature all the way through sculpture work, through Michelangelo's work. I mean, there's just some brilliant pieces out there. And there's some brilliant writings. Matter of fact, I don't know if you can see them, but right behind that skull and all the way across is an excellent set of books that everyone should read. Aristotle's. Anyway, you should get in there and read it. And one of these days, I'll post it up close so everybody can see the different ones. Well, Iliad and Odyssey's in there too, but it's a whole collection of them. So, yeah, actually, it's exactly what it is. It's a lot of the philosophers. I think there's 8 different philosophers in that group, including Aristotle's and a couple others. So it's great reading. It's not real heavy reading either. You'd think some of it is, but it's really not. It's really done in a way that it's enjoyable to read. Well, whoever translated it in such a way. So it's a good read. It's good for the brain. It's good for you. Good food for the soul, and it's good stuff to do. So, you want to do this just because you want to, humans want to be smarter than what we are. We really want to strive to move forward, but yet we'll start killing people left and right and blowing up stuff and destroying. I mean, look at Russia and the Ukraine right now. This is just typical. We're not even a united planet. So you're an alien. You're looking, going, we can't even offer them membership in the galactic community because they don't have a leader. They have no representation. They don't consider the UN representation because first off, the UN doesn't actually recognize every country on the planet. So that's an issue right off the bat. And then the leader of the UN, United Nations, doesn't really speak for everybody. The Americans are not really going to kind of want the head of the UN speaking for us. And a lot of other countries don't either. China's not going to want the head of the UN speaking for them. Neither is Russia. Most of Europe's not. So who is this being going to be in the future? In order for us to get any further than where we are today, we have to be a united society. I know people always write to me about one world this and one world that and one world this. Well, you know what? If you want to get into deep space, you're going to have to be one world. You're not going to get into the universe and start colonizing the way we are right now. One, it would be dangerous for all of us. And it'd be even more dangerous for any aliens we meet because there would be no rules on how we would deal with extraterrestrials. So, and I don't think ET is going to let us into deep space as long as we're not a united planet. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're waiting to see. Either one or two things will happen. Somewhere along the line, people will just realize that it's time to change the way things are. But that's not going to happen for a long time. As long as you got the United States, Russia, China, and now India, these are 4 powerful nations that can really wreak havoc, not just on each other, but on the world. Do you think Putin would answer to the United States? Do you think Xi Jinping would answer to the United States? I don't think so. Do you think Joe Biden? Well, okay, we're not going to go there because he probably would answer to him, but a normal U.S. president would not. He'd be like, no, I'm not going to. So somehow we have to find a way to have a united government, but balance a government so that everyone can vote and make it equal. Well, that's not going to happen because China's got 1.4 billion people. India's got 1.2 billion people and climbing. We only got 380 million. So we'll never get anybody in office because we'll always get outvoted by the Chinese or the Indians. Or the Europeans for that matter. So it's got to be a different way. I think it would probably be votes would be calculated by the civilization, but and a lot of India and China's votes just would not ever be tabulated. I think what they would do is find a number, whatever, like Europe and the United States' highest number was like 500 million, and that's how much would be allowed to vote in each country. And if you got less than that, well, you just everybody get to vote, but they'd have to make it a fair thing, or the country or the world wouldn't go for it. So China knows that, India knows that, Russia knows that, we know that, Europe knows that. But how do you get there? And if you're an alien race looking at us, what are you thinking? We are now a minimum 6,000-year-old civilization. That's minimum. That's if you want to go by what the Bible says. If you want to go by what some of the history says, we're a 12,500 plus year old civilization. So it's all in whose information you want to believe. I don't get into that because I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, there's evidence of cities we know. We found 2 sunken cities off the coast of India where that great tsunami came through and uncovered them. 2 cities that had at least 250,000 people each living in them, at least 250,000 that date back to 10,000 BC, 10,500 BC, which is 12,500 years ago, which is an interesting date because all the major monuments on the planet point back with precession back to 12,500 years ago. So it's kind of like there's something significant about that date, but we're not even going to get into that right now. Really and truly, so you can say we're at least that old. So what the hell happened? At one time, we had to be pretty close to United because there wasn't that many of us on the planet. Well, Mike, you might be right. They say we came out of Africa. So if we all came out of Africa, that means we all merged in the Middle East. And when we got in the Middle East, we just became stupid and started killing each other. And then we went to Europe. And then we went all over the Scandinavians and in the Asian world. I'm not even going to go there, Rocky. No, you know, I'm not even going to go there now. I know. Why don't you go ask somebody who does that for a living why they look like this when they live there and why they look like this when they live up there? Well, first off, you got to realize this wasn't like, 10 years or 20 years. There's probably a few thousand years between when they left Africa and when they reached the Scandinavian country. Yeah, it is confusing. I know, but there's lots of all I can tell you is just go read, do a lot of reading. What's confusing data? A lot of it's confusing data. And then every now and then they find something in South America that's like, well, wait, this doesn't fit with what went on in Africa. It is confusing because we don't know. It's just to put this in perspective. Just the other day, the Jack Webb telescope may have proved that everyone's theory on the Big Bang is wrong. In the Big Bang, there's a couple of theories in the Big Bang that has to be there. One, that the explosion was so chaotic that the first solar systems formed, the first galaxies formed, were chaotic and very small and disjointed. Well, that's not what they found, by the way. They found massive galaxies, very well organized at the start of the galaxy, at the start of the universe. Sorry. So it doesn't fit. It also kind of debunked what they said about how galaxies cluster together and why they cluster together. They were wrong about that as well. So we're going to find out. And I said this many, many times. I mean, I have a bachelor's in science and it's the truth. You're going to find out in science that you're going to be wrong more than you're right. But the problem is you can't, just because you're wrong, you can't stop looking. You got to keep looking. And when you're right, you can't stop because, somebody else might come up with something better. But really and truly, when it comes to science, you're going to be wrong far more often than you are right. You don't have to trust me on this. You can ask any scientist. They'll tell you the same thing. It's part of science. You're going to be wrong a lot before you figure it out. Sometimes you get lucky and get it the first time or the second time. But for the most part, not so much. For the most part, you've got to learn just like everything else works on this planet. So that's why I always say you're wrong. And remember, stuff that we held as truth just 50 years ago has been proven bunk today. Think about stuff, what was it? Who's watching? My wife is watching Got, or the new version. What is it? House of Dragon. Come on. They used to put maggots and leeches on you. This was medicine. They would cut you and bleed you. I mean, this was medicine, people. Just, it's not what we do today, is it? And you know what? 100 years from now or 200 years from now or 500 years from now, they're going to look back at us and go, God, they cut into the body. Oh my God, they took out parts. What is wrong with these people? Same thing we say about our ancestors. What's wrong with these people? But science has to start somewhere and it has to work forward. And we're going to learn more and more. A lot of what we're doing today is going to be considered bad, like irradiating bodies to get cancer out. Even now, we know that's the wrong way, and we are trying to change that. But still, we do it, don't we? So what does all this have to do with aliens? Well, the aliens are watching all of this. They've watched us since we were just bumping our ass on the ground to where we are today. And they haven't seen much in the way of improvement. And what I mean by that is, yes, technologically, we've grown, but psychologically, we haven't. We are still, right now, if you go back 10,000 years and you talk to one of our ancestors, we're still the same people. We haven't learned anything. We're still killing our neighbors. Yes, we're still covering our neighbor's wife. We haven't learned anything. We are still just the morons we've been for the last 10,000 years. What do you mean? What does that have to do with God? All right, we're not even getting into God because God's probably laughing too. He's probably up there with the aliens laughing his ass off. Going, God, did I mess up when I created these morons? No, this was not in his will. No, humans are goofuses. Humans are ignorant, arrogant, egotistical, and most of the time have no idea what they're talking about. They really, really have to sit down and really learn. I challenge people all the time. You got to be kidding me. If you've never watched one of my shows or my political shows or my science shows, shit, come on. I got up there and argue with Michio Keiko and Neil deGrasse Tyson. They both got PhDs. I got a little lonely bachelor's. And I still got up there and went head to head with them. Because if you prepare yourself and you understand your surroundings, you understand what's going on in life, and you understand why and how things work, it's easier to make the right decision. But humans don't want to do that. We want to take the easy road. No, especially today, man. Oh, we're so polarized. Our country alone, if you look at the world, it's polarized. But if you look at our own country, it's very polarized. And if you're not from the U.S., I'm talking about the USA people. We're very polarized. So here's the aliens watching us going, these people are headed towards World War III. Maybe we should not hang out so much with them. And, somebody the other day said, oh, well, the aliens would stop it. Why? All right. For proof of this, they did not stop Hiroshima or Nagasaki. They did not stop 3 Mile Island. They did not stop Chernobyl. They did not stop Fukushima or the one that's fixing to happen to Ukraine. This is not their job. They did not stop any nukes that we put on the ground in the United States or anything we launched like Bikini Atoll. None of it. Today, I've lost count, but we are 400 or 500 nukes exploded in the United States, and not one time did they intervene, not once. And we're not the only country. Russia's just as bad as we were, and China's trying to be as bad as we were. But yet, they didn't intervene. I mean, come on, Fukushima, 3 Mile Island, Nagasaki, not Nagasaki, Chernobyl, those were accidents. Why didn't they intervene there and help us clean them up? They're all three still, 3 Mile Island is a complete disaster, but they're still pretty bad. And those aren't the only accidents. Those are the ones you know about, the famous ones. There are actually several other reactors that went critical that have never been talked about because they were either military or in smaller areas or places people just didn't care about. I think there's 9 or 10 altogether that I know about. There's probably even more than that. We don't know if any of the militaries had reactors go bad on ships when they were first testing them. We don't know any of that stuff because they don't tell us any of that. And the aliens are still looking, going, oh, these people are just ignorant. So look, we're doing pretty good. We got a hiatus going on. We took care of the Middle East. They started bringing peace to the Middle East somewhat. There was no other wars on the planet. It's the first time the United States hasn't been in wars in forever. Trump and Obama got rid of Iraq for us, and Trump was on his way to getting rid of Afghanistan, and then Biden went and got rid of it. So we're out of that. That's it for us. So all of a sudden, the planet's peaceful. No one's fighting. So what happened? Happened? Russia got to go start a fight with the Ukraine and trying to start a fight with other countries. Now, North Korea is going to go put troops in it. Well, to us, we'll consider that an act of war by North Korea. And so will South Korea and a lot of the other allies. Japan will as well. We will consider that, and we will want to go invade North Korea now. And of course, China will consider that an act of war against them because basically North Korea is a protector of China. So we're right back where we started in World War I. In 100 years, 122 years we have learned. That's what we learned. And you wonder why the aliens are down here laughing their asses off most of the time. They're going, these people are just ignorant. Can we save them? Can we help them? Do we even want to let them into the cosmos? Really? Do you want us as your neighbor? If you were a neighboring planet, let's be honest about this. What we got? Currently, there are 12 or 14,000 nuclear weapons on the planet. Do you want to be our neighbor? Really? Do you want to be our neighbor? I don't want to be our neighbor if we got 14,000 nukes floating around. And Russia's over there building big monster ones, and the U.S. wants to build planet buster ones. And yet, we think we're smart enough and kind enough and knowing enough for the extraterrestrials to come say, hey, you know what, you humans, we love you. We want to hug you and kiss you and make friends with you. Bullshit. They're thinking if they should just wipe us out and take our planet is what they're thinking. Oh, it's good. Well, I can't say it this way. It won't be a waste of a planet because they can fix the planet. We can't. And whether you believe man caused this, alien caused this, or this is a natural cycle doesn't really matter because currently we don't have the ability to fix it, but they probably do. And if we nuked the whole planet, I bet you they could clean up the planet in less than a decade, probably even shorter than that, where it'd take us 1,000 years at least. And then we would have to figure out what we do with all the radiation. I guess shoot it into the sun or something, or maybe put it on the moon like that movie. What was that series, 1999? Yeah, there you go. That's an idea. But again, it comes right back to the same thing. So here's these aliens watching. You know what I think a lot of times? I hate to say this, but a lot of times I think what the aliens are here for is we are their television program. Yes, they broadcast to the cosmos. We are probably #1 rated series. We're hilarious, and we're ignorant, and we're dramatic. You can't ask for more. They're probably out there making a fortune off of us. I'm kidding, but still, I mean, really, it would be a good television show. The human race. Yes. I don't know. We're retarded, really, but Elon Musk agrees with me because he's out there saying the same things I've been saying for 2 decades, which is nice to have somebody, a billionaire, actually quote some of the things I said. Oh no, Bruce, I don't. Jessica, no, I don't think he's talking about me personally. No, I've been talking about this when I started hosting radio back 20-some years ago on Wake Up USA. I used to say this all the time. I'm sure he's heard it lots of places, but we're ignorant. I mean, we have to learn how just to get along. You know, somebody asked me the other day, and I get this question asked from time to time when I'm doing lectures places. What would it take to have world peace? Oh, really? Oh, God, that's a tough question, right? No, not really. Get rid of money. Make religion mandatory that everyone gets along. It doesn't matter what you believe. It's not nobody's business but your own. But, there's no punishment, no harshment, no criticism for whatever religion you believe. But you'd have to figure out a different monetary system because money just creates greed. So you'd have to change that. And then the key to all of it is do away with politicians. You'd have to come up with a different form of government. You could have a democracy per se or a republic, but you'd have to have a different form of government. Something that is truly for the people and by the people, something that we can check. So, that's how the House is. That's why you can reelect them every 2 years. Did y'all know that? So that we can keep control of our government. That's exactly why. But we don't put term limitations, so we just keep voting for the same idiots over and over and over. So there's just lots of stuff like that we'd have to change. And I just don't see us ready for that. We can't even agree. Our own two parties can't agree how to do anything. They used to. Did y'all know under Ronald Reagan and under Bill Clinton that the bipartisan was strong and healthy and lots of stuff got done because both these presidents figured out a way how to get along with both sides? But now it's not like that anymore. Now it's whatever party's got control is the party that's going to screw us over. And the aliens see this. They're just sitting here. Why are these humans allowing this to go on? There's so much stuff that goes on this planet that's our actually control or is just our laziness that even extraterrestrials are got to think, can we really help these people? Can they be saved? Because we have to save ourselves. They're not going to indirectly or they're not going to directly get involved. They might indirectly, but they're not going to directly get involved. There's too many other worlds out there. There's too much other stuff going on in the universe. We've made our own bed. Basically, they're going to allow us to lay in it. And if we wipe ourselves off the planet, they will take the planet and recolonize it with somebody else. And if we semi-wipe it out, they will just watch us until we repair it, and hopefully we'll have learned and become one government and one world. I don't know, Ronnie. I don't. I'll talk about this on Friday nights, but I don't see the catalyst to bring the world together. At first, it was religion, but now we've left the last stray religion in, and it wasn't. I say stray religion, which is a bad way of saying it, but they were the most outdoor religion, which was the Muslim religion. But now they've been let into society along with the Catholics, the Jews, and everybody else. So, and more people are learning how to get along. So the religion thing is coming along, but politics are inherently dividing because that's the only way you get the only way they get what they want. See, if they weren't, we'd always get what we wanted, but they're more interested in keeping their power and keeping their job. So they have to do whatever they think it is that's going to keep that. So they'll say and do whatever they need to instead of, being honest. And here we are. And we're in a big polarized country and a big polarized world that the aliens are just, again, laughing their asses off. They originally came here and seen a world full of hope, a world that really might really shine in the future. And we still may, but not on the road course we're on right now. So now you see the aliens taking a slightly different role. So, they did a lot of abduction stuff and a lot of these different kind of experiments, which they're going to be ongoing because they have particular agendas they're running. But they've taken a more wait and see than a proactive like they were. They were they were indirectly active, is what I should say. They were guiding people and helping people understand, but they're not even wanting to do that anymore. They're just kind of waiting to see what we're going to do, because people tell me all the time, the aliens are here to save us, or the aliens are here to wipe us out. Well, okay. But really, what is the evidence for that? Aliens have been here a long time. According to the Vatican, they've been here as long as man has been here. And I've heard at least that from 4 different people, including Monsignor Balducci. So they've all said this, that, the Vatican has a huge stock of information on extraterrestrials, and they know for a fact they've been here as long as we've been here. So here we are. And even their indirectly help didn't make a difference. But the point I'm making is, if they were here to kill us or wipe us out or take over, we'd already be dead, taken over, and conquered. Even today, we couldn't take them on head to head. So what could we have done in 1,500 years ago or 3,000 years ago? Nothing. Oh, we throw some rocks at it. Ooh, let's throw a rock at the flying saucer. Yeah, that's good. That's going to work. It's going to crash like Roswell by a rock, or even a bow and arrow. It's just ludicrous. And here we are, and we think we're somebody and something, and we're not. We're probably one of the low totems in the entire galaxy. And we don't have to be, but we are, because we just can't seem to get our shit together. So here's the alien jet again going, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So they're taking a little less proactive link in this. They want us to at least show something. I mean, their contactees do and their abductees do, but that's only 15% of the world's population. So what about the other 85%? They don't seem to care. And you know what's funny? Even the 15% of abductees, because I know, I do a lot of research, and we've talked to a lot of people who said they've been taken by aliens. What's funny is, you get 10 of them in a room, they'll get along pretty good. You put 15 in there, they don't. Or if you bring in one really, really good looking person, male or female, it will cause chaos in the group. Well, again, we just have a lot to learn. There's no reason for it, because they're all sharing the same experience. And they've all shared the same experience. But still, that part of them that is part of our society can't help itself. It gets jealous or irritated or whatever. And that's just where it goes. Well, to put this in perspective, a couple of months ago, we were at an abduction conference. And we were talking, most of the women in there were 44, 45, 46 years old, not unattractive or anything like that, just typical everyday women for their age group, and this girl comes in, she's about 29, she's built like a brick house, dressed like, I'm not even going to say on the air, and it instantly stirred problems in the group right off the bat. I mean, half the ladies just wanted to call her, but yet she still had the same experiences they were having. So it's stuff like that we have to learn not to worry about. Really, what does it care what the person next to you looks like? Do you really care that much? I mean, is it going to really make that much difference in your life? I mean, I guess that's what it really comes down to. No, it's not. So just get over it. Because you're losing out. We're losing out on data and information when stuff like that happens, because people start clamming up. They don't want to talk. That's why we do a lot of one-on-one research, but sometimes you need to do it in a group, because you need to see how people are reacting on a group, because a lot of times when they're on board craft, they're in groups. So they just need to be that way. What was that, Jeremy? I didn't see it. What was it? Yeah, no, Fridays I do politics. Monday I do science. Mm-hmm. No, Saturday is the Gray Zone. I do that with the fabulous Michelle DeRoche. We do the Gray Zone on Saturday. Gray Zone covers multitude of topics. I mean, multitude of topics. The only topic it does not carry is politics, but it crosses every other topic. You can submit to me at iCarCox.net, or you can write to Michelle. You'd have to go to the Facebook Outer Realm page and submit right there. Yeah, you can write to me at iCarCox.net. Yeah. You mean for politics? Oh, yeah, just tune in Friday. Yeah, you can ask questions. You can make suggestions. You can disagree if you want. We're not that formal. I like a good argument. As long as you know what you're talking about, I like a good argument. Yeah. Again, you have to challenge the status quo. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be this. You don't have to be that. I can have a very good discussion with somebody, a heated discussion, and not be mean to them, not make fun of them, not curse them, and still get my point across. Yeah, well, that's the difference between debating and not debating, my friend. That's what it is. One's an argument, one's a debate. Take your choice. I prefer the other way. It's a good skill I have. Yes, it is. I've been hired out to debate for people before. Yes, I have. Made pretty good money at it too. It's well, because it's all about the prep, all about the research, all about the data. If you're going to discuss something, whether it's politics, God, aliens, or whatever, do your homework. I've been preaching do your homework for 25 years on the radio, and really you should do your homework. What do you mean, the skull? There's all kind of stuff back there, man. There's stuff you can't even see on the other side, and there's other stuff over there you can't see. There's different. Technically, this one studio has 4 different looks, depending on what kind of mood I'm in. Today, it's just the book look. You see pictures over there, books all across here. By the way, while we're on that topic, I'm giving away. We've got 400 books in right now, courtesy of Writers of the Future. They sent us 200. So we have 400 books we're going to start giving away September 1st, and we will be giving books away all the way through January 1st. Last year we gave away 1,500. We're planning on giving away 2,000 books this year. We like to give away for the holidays because, people get the holidays. There's books all over the studio. It's ridiculous. I get them in, different artists send them to me, different people send them to me, different people I've met over the years who have been on the network send them to us. If you want to donate a book, you can write me at iCarCockNextNet, and I'll send you my address. But my address is on the uprntalkradio.com page, so you can go over there and find it and mail them directly to the studio. What do you mean? Is that a real skull? No. That's a real bottle of Crown Royal right there, but it's not a real skull, no. This is a replica. Yes. I'm coming for you tonight. Please do not bend over in front of me. No, I'm just teasing. It was originally done on the alien skull, the one that was picked up in South America, the one that's DNA is not all human. They're not sure what the hell this skull is. Yes, I actually held it in my hand. I met Lloyd Pye. Lloyd is a local on the Gulf. Was a local on the Gulf. He's passed now, but he used to live in Pensacola. And for a while, he was living where I lived in New Orleans. So I met him in New Orleans one night. We went and had. He liked not Indian food, Thai food. He was a big fan of Thai food. So I knew this little restaurant. I took him out, and we had a good meal. And he brought both skulls. He brought the replica and the real one. I was shocked he brought the real one. What was so weird about this? I've held human skulls before. So first off, it was about twice the size of a human skull. The head casing was huge. But it weighed almost nothing. I mean, literally, it weighed 7 or 8 ounces. It was almost like feather light. I mean, I was scared it was going to get away from me a couple of times. The replica actually weighed more because it was made out of foam, but it was pretty light too. So he was showing me these webbings inside the skull. It was really weird looking. And he actually banged it on a table and didn't even bother it. And this thing is pretty old. I mean, it was a few hundred years old for sure. Somebody said 900 to 1100. I'd have to go back and read, to be honest with you, but they had it tested several times. They knew that the mother was human, but the father wasn't, or was something else. They don't know. No, they didn't say it was that. They don't know because we don't know what alien is. Because remember, if aliens interbred with us way back in the future, we already have that alien DNA in us, so it's not going to look any different than ours. If we do find alien DNA, it's going to be a lot like ours. So ours is going to be like theirs. Well, maybe we talk about it. That's maybe where that's the RH negative blood came from the alien interbreeding with us. But anyway, so here we are. We're in today's society. We want to be part of the galactic community, part of the galactic consciousness, part of something greater than ourselves. But the problem is we can't get ourselves there. So ET's watching. They want us to make that stepstone. They probably think Elon's a god because Elon's trying to do it for us. I mean, he's out there. Look, I will get our asses in this space. I will help unite our planet. I will show you how to do this. And other people are stepping up now, but not enough. And even if Americans step up, is the rest of the world going to step up? Or are you going to get the Russians or the Chinese to agree with the rest of the world? Let's say that we can get the whole planet to agree, but Russia and China, what are we going to do? Invade? We're just going to sit them outside the world. It's still not a united planet. Are they going to let us into the council with 2 rogue countries sitting out that represent 2 billion people? And that's if we can get them, because I mean, Cuba will probably come along with us. Venezuela will be forced into it, but But there are other places in the world, in the Middle East, and Iran's not going to go. I mean, there'll be other countries besides that are not going to go. So, not want to join into a united group. I mean, they can't even get along in their own little group in the Middle East. How are they going to get along with a group with everybody else? It's just, I don't see it happening anytime soon. You know, people write to me all the time and they're like, well, you should give us hope. No, I don't want to lie to you. I'd rather you be honest, and that way, at least when you go out into the world and you're honest with everybody else, maybe when enough of us are honest, we'll change. We'll actually see us for what we are and become the society we should be. The caring, loving, kind society who wants to get into deep space and explore and make new friends. Because really we are. For most of us, most humans are actually kind and caring people, but they don't have the power. They're just people. The people who have the power are not kind and caring. They don't give about any of us. And we leave them there. So it's our fault. We can blame our politicians all day long, but all we have to do is vote them out. The real problem has always been the same thing. My guy's not the bad guy, your guy is. It's a perfect example. Look at Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Depending on what side you're on, one's a hero, one's an enemy. I heard Joe Biden today saying how all the mega people are stupid and ignorant. And I'm thinking, well, you just ensure none of them people come out and get all their friends to come out and vote for somebody else. And I'm sure they think he's stupid and ignorant and senile. So, I mean, how do you get past that? The next two are going to be any difference? No, because as long as you have the people currently in power, it's never going to change. It hasn't changed in 20 or 30 years, and it's not going to. The current group of people have been in power since right after Clinton, and it's been the same crap ever since. And since the United States dictates so much of the world's policy, we need to stand up and be counted for, and we're not. I mean, we were trying to get away from the world. We still are. We're trying to isolate ourselves, and so that our politicians can just have complete control over us. It's getting to be almost a nightmare. And here you have the aliens watching all of this. And then you wonder why they don't want to come forward or get involved in our society. Well, I wouldn't either. Shit, they were scared we might put a nuke on them, which I don't think a nuke would hurt their ship, but still. So, what is it going to take for us to get into the galactic community? World peace. What is it going to take to have world peace? Probably World War III. I honestly, if I had to make a prediction, I would have to say that we have to be another world war before the people have enough. I really think that's how it's going to have to go down. We had a chance at the end of World War II, and we really did a good shot at it, but then we didn't. And there's another problem with wars. There's too much money in them. Oh, yeah, too many industries make too much money. These countries, I mean, look what Russia's spending on what Russia had to go get a deal with Brazil to sell them gas to pay for the new tanks. It's ridiculous. And why does any country need 5,000 nukes? In all fairness, whoever wrote that, it's down. It used to be, the United States used to have 10,000, Russia had 12,000. At one time, we were almost to 30,000 nuclear weapons. Do you know how many times we can wipe the world out with 30,000 nuclear weapons? We could even wipe everything else out and put the rest of them on timer so that every 500 years they would launch another 500 nukes. Yeah, we would ensure no one lived on this planet ever again for several million years, and it wouldn't be us. So, again, if you're an alien race, what do you do? What do you think? Do you think there's no hope? Well, no, there's hope, but not anytime soon. So I think they're going to keep on doing what they're doing. They're going to keep running their different agendas, and so people understand this. The Greys are not here to get emotions back or to get food back or any of this stuff. They're a very advanced race that basically are here to, well, they're kind of participating in some ways, but they do create hybrids just of us, not of them. They don't want, how can I say this politely? They don't want our dirty, disgusting DNA mixed with theirs. Oh, yeah. That's how they feel about all three races. All three races of dog do not consider us. They would not use our DNA. Even if it was going to save their lives, they wouldn't use it. They'd be like, nope, forget that. These back-ass weird planet. But they do use our DNA to create what they call husk bodies. Not for them, for us. For people who die that they want to take. So the aliens won't just come take you. Everybody thinks they'll just take you and take you away from. That's not true. But they will take you at the moment of death or up to 3 days after you die. They can take your consciousness up to 3 days. I don't know how. We just know that that's how the Greys, reptilians, and humans keep themselves alive for long periods of time. Yeah, because they can transfer their bodies into new husk bodies, not clones. They call them husk bodies. They're mixed DNAs that make completely new bodies. That way, if they breed with those bodies, there's no cloning errors or anything like that. And it's just uploading the consciousness from one body to the next, or uploading the consciousness to storage till they get to a place that they can put it in a body. They can even put you in a hologram, I imagine. So they're very advanced. And the Greys, as far as we understand, don't even do conventional breeding anymore in the way we think of it, anyway. And they're old race. So they don't really. That's like when people tell me they don't have a sense of humor. That's not true. They do. It's just they don't find us all that amusing. Yeah, people assume, well, they don't laugh. They don't have a sense. That's not. They do from time to time laugh. And I've actually heard a couple of contactees say they almost like a damn Klingon belly laugh. We know the reptilians laugh, and we know the humans laugh. We know all of them have emotions. And we know all of them have what we would consider religion. I don't know if they consider it religion like we do, but they do believe in something. I don't think the three of them even believe in the same thing, to be honest with you, but they do believe in something. But the major difference is, like with the reptilians, they have one religion, one government, one religion, all united, even though there's several different tribes and several different species of reptilian, from the water breathers to the air breathers to all the stuff in between, the ones that fly, the ones with gills. But regardless, they're still the same species. They live on different planets. They have different colonies. But they're really an agrarian society, with the exception of warrior caste of them. They're an agrarian society. The rest of them don't want to fight at all. They want to be a peaceful race and coexist in the universe. And from what I understand, their warrior side's getting smaller and smaller ever since the light beings took the console. There doesn't seem to be any war left in the galaxy, so there's no need for these big armies like they used to have, like the humans and the reptilians had. But that's a difference. The humans also have a one world government. The Greys have a one world government. All of them. I'm pretty sure it's a prerequisite to be in the councils. You have to have a united planet. And if there's more than one planet and there's colonies, they all have to be united. It has to be under the same banner. Yeah, because if not, it would just cause problems. Think about the UN. So let's say, okay, there's a galactic council, and then let's say each planet was fractured. So let's say there's already 1 billion people, 1 billion worlds out there being represented, and let's say each one was fractured. So you would have sometimes 50 billion representatives, because each world had 1 or 2 or 300 governments. No, that's never going to work, and it's not even a feasible way of doing things. Well, I imagine two things represents a matured race: advanced deep space travel and a one world government. I imagine those two things show a matured species versus an immature species like ourselves. Because think about this. This year, but worldwide, we're going to spend $1.6 trillion on the military from now on. So in 10 years, you know how much money that is. In 50, and each time it's going to go up. In 10 years, it'll probably be $2.5 trillion a year. So next trillion will be 25 trillion. By within 20 years, we'll have spent $40 trillion on military. Do you know how fast you could cure cancer with $40 trillion? You know, I mean, you could cure almost every disease on the planet for $40 trillion. And just think about how much we spent in the past coming to this point. All of this could change our society, but we're as a human race, we don't want it. As an everyday species, we don't want it. We'd rather fight with each other. Even in this country, we would rather fight with each other. We'd rather get on television or get on the radio, or get on whatever, and call each other names and say how each one's stupid and how each one doesn't know what they're talking about, and how each government or each politician is better than the other one. That makes us look like schoolyard children, is what that makes us look like. But yet we want to be accounted with advanced alien races. Jesus. You know, you got to give the human race one thing. We got a freaking ego the size of the Empire State Building. Really. I mean, it's ridiculous what kind of ego we have. Well, yeah, we should be part of the Galactic Council. Why? And why should we be part of the Galactic Council? And you give me any reason for that? Because we're humans and we're great. Compared to what? The amoebas that made us? I mean, really, compared to what? Not the Greys, not the reptilians, not the humans, not the tall whites, not any of the known alien races that are around today. Why would any of that be part of that? What the hell is that? It's I mean, why would why would they even want to be bothered with it? We have to show these aliens something that's good about us, something that shows them that we want to be accounted up in the future. We want to show them that, hey, look. And we've tried different ways like the UN and other things, but we don't ever really do it. We stop short every time. We need to go to the next step. Or we're going to end up in World War III. One or the other. Either somebody's going to stand up and be accounted for, or there's going to be World War III. But that's the only two ways this world's ever getting united. So we need, as humans, I don't want to live in a nuclear holocaust, do you? And frankly, I probably won't. Where I live, it'll be one of the last places that even sees radiation. But the rest of you poor bastards will be melting. What do you mean? Do I know anything about radiation? Did I read that wrong? Oh, I did. No, okay. I'm sorry. I did read that wrong. No, yeah, I did. I worked on the USS Nimitz. Mm-hmm. Oh, of course, we had to know about all that, unfortunately. Well, they actually train you on the Nimitz in case there's a radiation leak and stuff like that. And they train you if there's a nuclear blast near you or something, what you got to do. Well, nuclear blasts are survivable, but that's not what this show's about. You can survive a nuclear blast. Well, as long as you're at X amount of miles away. It also depends on the size of the blast. And then there are things like the U.S. made that are rather cruel called the neutron bomb. Neutron bomb doesn't blow anything up. It just burst out a radiation clip about 8 miles. So if you dropped it in New York, did center New York, it would cover 80% of the city, and it would kill everybody in it. And then the radiation, of course, expand down from there for another 10 miles. So about 18-mile circle, everything would die, everything. But the city and the roads and all the bridges and everything else would be left intact and usable in less than 2 years. The half-life of a neutron bomb is less than 2 years. There would be some places you'd probably have to dig out and clean out because radiation got in deeper. But for the most part, 2.5 years, you got your own new city. You can roll your people. And think about a country like China with 14 billion people. It's a great weapon for them. They don't have one, but still, it is a great weapon for them. So here we are talking about weapons instead of talking about how or why the aliens are here. Well, that's why the aliens are here. That's what people don't realize. They're watching. They want to see if we're going to become part of the council or not. I wouldn't doubt they got little side bets going. Hey, Bob, Nick Gray, look, I'll give it 50-1 that they make it to this far. You do know there are bettors out there that are waging that we'll all be dead in less than 100 years. Oh yeah, there are places in the world you can bet on how long, what's going to happen, wars and stuff like. You can even bet on the Ukraine war if you want to. Yeah, how many tanks are getting blown up, things like that. Yeah, it's crazy. We live in a crazy world. Let me ask y'all this, and then we're going to move on. Remember when the Ukraine war started? Remember all the news you heard about it, everything you heard every day? Now, I do a news show, so I check the news daily. I see the Ukraine about once every 3 days now, and it's usually some story about, like today, Russia's bringing in 1,200 retired troops to come help out, which don't want to be there, by the way. And they're bringing in some garbage weapons that probably haven't been recycled since God knows when. It's funny because Russia was always painted as big, badass enemy that we all needed to worry about, which is true because they got nukes. But their military is supposed to be big and bad. Now, since the Soviet Union fell, looking, you can't take the Ukraine. Think about America and Desert Storming and think about Russia in the Ukraine. This is a disaster. We'd have been laughing stock of the world if this would have happened to us. We would have never tolerated this. We'd have had air superiority in the first 2 weeks. And then every inch our ground took, they would have kept. And they would have been moving at a much faster rate than the Russians are. Of course, we have better weapons, too. And our people are more trained. I mean, we've been at war until we ended Afghanistan, we'd been at war for a solid 50 years. And then it took a 8-year break, and we were 40 years before that at war. So, yeah, we got a hardened society when it comes to that. Yeah, we'd be like cockroaches. We'd be the few left of us on the planet, no matter what. I want to be part of the Galactic Council. I want to see our society make the next step. I want to see someone, and maybe it's Elon Musk, maybe it's Jeff Bezos, maybe it's some Chinese guy, I don't know who it is, but there has to be a person on this planet that the world can get behind. It doesn't matter what country they come from. It doesn't matter what freaking sex they are. All it matters is that they are believable to the world and they can show the world a way to become one. And people will get behind them. But we don't even have that. We had that in the 60s, 70s, and even in the 80s, but that seemed to have gone away too. We don't even have people who even want to try. Did you ever notice that the really good people don't want to be politicians? Elon Musk could be a senator as soon as he ran, but he don't want to be a politician. He could be president because he's African American, but oh, don't even. Before anybody starts, don't even. He's African American. He's not black. He's white, but he's from Africa, and he's now an American citizen, so he's African American. Matter of fact, this trouble started when somebody announced he was the richest African American in the world, which was true. So if you say he's not, you're a racist, by the way. You know that, right? If you say Elon Musk is not an African American, you are racist. That's all I can tell you. African American doesn't go by color. It just means you're from the African continent. Shame on you racist people out there. And you see, ET's watching that too. They're like, damn, these people are racist. They can't even get along by color or sex. They can't get along about money, food, religion, color, anything. Man, they fight over M&Ms. Shit, we don't even get our Reese's Pieces anymore because they keep fighting over. Especially now that COVID came along. If you're waiting on your Reese's Pieces, man, you're in trouble. Well, all I can tell y'all is we have to change. We're getting ready to get into another subject now. Well, into more abduction stuff, but all I can tell you, people, is if you really, 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 really want to become part of whatever's going out there in the universe, because we just found 2 planets that we think might have life on them now. There's a good chance that they have some kind of life on them. So if you want to be part of what's going on out there, we're going to have to change our ways. And that's really all there is to it. I often do worry, though, because there's an old, it's not the Twilight Zone, it's an old Outer Limits. The aliens come to Earth and they fly up at the UN, they go in the UN, and they talk about how disappointed they are in Earth and all of this stuff. And they're at the UN saying all this. The UN said, give us 24 hours and let us just demonstrate to you that we can be better. So the UN does this thing. So all the countries become one. We become one united world. And we're so proud of it. We go to aliens and we give it to them. And the aliens looked at it and said, we created y'all to be a warrior race, and then nuked the whole planet and killed everybody and started a new race. You never know what they put us here for, We assume we're supposed to be one way, but we could be wrong. We do like to fight, so. I just thought it was an interesting episode because humans do like to fight. We could be Klingons as far as y'all know. Or something like it. And a lot of people think this is a prison planet. I'm like, well, maybe it is. So this is the Australia of space is what this is? Give me a break, people. You know what? I don't know what kind of drugs y'all do out there, but y'all should be sharing with the rest of us poor people. It's just hilarious. Actually, Jimmy, I'll talk about that Friday. That's hardcore politics. We ain't going to talk about that on here, but yeah, we'll talk about it Friday. We'll be talking about all of that good stuff on Friday. Yeah, everything you just listed in that chat list, we'll be talking on Friday. Doesn't have any place here. That's why it doesn't make any difference about what we're talking about. So again, we're going back to something that seems to be going along a long time. So, it's a couple of religions now that have confirmed that they have information that extraterrestrials have been on the planet for a while. I remember I was in Washington, D.C. giving a lecture at the Washington Press Club when I met Monsignor Balducci. And Paula Harris, by the way, had to translate because he only spoke Italian and I only spoke English. So we got to talking. And I asked him point blank, does the Vatican have information? He said, oh, yeah, and a lot of it. He said, they have been here since we've been here, plus, which means they might even been here a little longer than that. He also said that the Vatican believes that they are on a higher spiritual level than humans are. Okay, it took me back for a second because I did not expect to hear that out of Monsignor's mouth. I did not expect him to actually agree that because these are such advanced aliens that they would be evolved further and closer to God than we are. That just caught me off guard completely. So I asked Paula to make sure that's what he said. She repeated it. He said, that's what he said. I was like, oh, okay. So not only does he admit that extraterrestrials were visiting this planet and he knew they were here, that he admitted that the Vatican thought they were on a higher spiritual plane than humans were, which is probably true. But still, I mean, you just don't expect to hear that. So 2 years later, I'm in D.C. again, speaking at the Washington Press Club. I meet the astronomer for the Vatican. And him and I get to talking. I was telling him about what Monsignor told me, and he's agreeing with everything I'm talking about. I'm just floored at this point. So he introduces me to a cardinal that was with him. They were looking at I forgot what it was, some asteroid that they were looking at. It had some kind of religious meaning. But so he introduced me to Cardinal. We were all talking. And I'm telling him what he said. Oh no, it's well known in the Vatican and most of the higher ups that ET's been in contact with us for a long time. They understand our religions. They've even used our religions in some ways to help push along their agendas, which, is understanding humans better. But he also agreed that they were on a higher spiritual level than we are. So altogether, I've talked to 7 people in the Vatican, the lowest one being the astronomer. Everybody else was fairly ranked up there from cardinals and monsignors to other listings, but it still floors me to hear it. So the cardinal introduced me to, I think his name was Bruce Webb. And he was way up in the Baptist church. He said, I want you to talk to him. He said, him and I are good friends. So he calls him, he comes over to the lecture I'm doing in DC. So after the lecture, we all go have dinner together and we start talking. And he starts talking. Oh no. He said, let me tell you what my friend, the Mormon, told me. And we got to talking about that. And he said, now let me tell you what we know as Baptists that we're keeping. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? Does every religion on this planet have some extraterrestrial information? Maybe I should become real religious and go from religion to religion and find out. That's not going to happen. But it's interesting to hear these things. I've had, in recent years, in the last 10 years, I've met a couple of generals. I've met some guys over at Space Command. I've met some people high up in the government. I've met several senators and congressmen over the years. And none of them deny that we're in contact. Now, none of them know what the hell is going on or why it's going on or why they're even here. But they don't deny we're in contact. That's why the government came out this year. There's just too much information. The government had to finally admit that there's something going on because with all the new drones coming out and it's a different world now. 4 billion of us have cameras in our pockets all the time. Even though we're getting less UFO footage, more of us got 4 billion got cameras. But now we've got all these drones flying around that are picking up crap all over the place. Now, a lot of times it's going to be our stuff, incognito, but still. We're getting lots of stuff. So the government had to admit that there are things that have been seen and have been in contact with our craft that are not from this world. They do not go by the law of gravity on this planet. Even, something you used to think, oh, maybe it's a Russian or Chinese, not with craft like this. If it was a Russian or Chinese, we would have already gave up because we'd have been whooped. There would be no way to defend against the way these things move. It's like the Foo Fighters. Everybody thought the Foo Fighters was somebody else's craft. The Russians thought they were ours. We thought they were the Germans. The Germans thought they were the Japanese. The Japanese thought they were the British because everybody saw them. And they did things that only thing that could repeat what they did today would be a drone, but they could not do it at the speeds that these were doing it at. So today's technology is a little bit different. So we have drones. It's easy to fake UFOs. But to do what these Foo Fighters did at speeds, they were pretty big balls too. They were probably 10, 15 feet around, moving at speeds far faster than the speed of sound. Because the guy would say they were there, they were back, they were underneath, they were on top, they were doing loop-to-loops around the plane. So much sometimes that the plane would start to tilt from the airflow around it from whatever this thing was. Everybody saw them. And today, we still can't not reproduce that technology itself. We can get something close to it, but nothing that can move at those speeds. And this is World War II. Here we are 80 years later. We still can't reproduce that technology. We still don't know what the hell it was. So the government at this point, and then don't forget at the 50-year anniversary in Washington, D.C., another UFO came and hovered over the White House. 50 years to the date of the first one that did it. So these kind of things are just hard to get around. The press sees them. The press was trying to downplay them, but even the press is just too much. With social media news now, like we have 14 social media pages, and we're fixing to add 4 more, 5 more. With all this social media out there, it's just too hard to hide. And we have between all of our social media pages, we have about 1.5 million followers on social media. So if we see something, it's instantly going out there to 1.5 million people. They're going to see it to other people. So that 1.5 million may translate into 10, 15 million. Now, if we put it on the website for the week, we do 28 to 30 million listeners a week. So that's how many people can see that. And then, of course, they're showing it in other radio networks. We pick it up, or TV networks. And a lot of times I'll put stuff up in Sci-Fi, or one of the other TV shows will pick it up. So this stuff goes instantly. So now it's at a point where, and I'm just one person, there's thousands of people out here doing this. It got to the point where even the military had to agree that there was something going on that they couldn't explain. So what they decided to do is enlist civilian help. They're looking like people like us who are in the field that may have answers that they don't have. They really are looking to see if they can get civilian help. Now, the Congress is all mad because Congress just realized, because of these YAP things, UAPs, that they had been being lied to. And they want to know what they've been lied about. Of course, they don't have the security clearance to know. There are a few a few House reps, and I don't know if there's any reps, but there's definitely some senators that probably have the clearance to know. There may be a couple of reps, but not many. Well, House of Representatives is different from the Senate. First, they only get 2 years. The Senate gets 6, and senators tend to have more power than House reps do. I didn't make the system. Don't hate on me, and don't argue with me because that's just the way it works. And I don't want to hear the N word, the Nancy Pelosi word, so just leave me out of that conversation. Yeah, I fooled y'all, didn't I? Nah. Idiots. Anyway, getting back to where we were. So our government is using us to get to the truth, which they can't get to the truth because ET don't give a blank if they know the truth. See, that's another problem. Extraterrestrials don't really care if the rest of the world knows that they're here. So it's a little different. And I say this all the time and people get mad at me. I've never really met anyone who's seen a real UFO that hadn't been taken. It's almost like a prerequisite. If you're going to see something, you've probably been taken. So I'll use a few examples here to help out. Mexico City, I think it was 1990, 1994. 1 million people reported seeing a UFO. 1 million, including the mayor, the police chief, several padres and pastors and stuff like that. Pretty good, right? Okay, I got a question for you. Because this thing hovered there for 24 hours. Mexico City has 22 million people in it. How come the other 21 million people didn't see anything? What the hell's going on? Here's an even better one for y'all called the Phoenix Lights. Phoenix has, 2 million people there? How many people you think saw the Phoenix Lights? Really, how many of y'all thought saw it? In a city the size of that. And don't forget, this was on the local news when it was happening. While it was happening live, it was on the local news, and still only a handful of people seen it. I think a couple of thousand at best. Why? The Belgium Triangles, flies over a city of 67,000 people. About 600 people saw it. That's it. The Air Force pilots, there was 4 F-16s sent out to sea, and only one of the pilots actually saw it when they were all 4 looking straight at it. The other pilot, you could hear the pilot say, "What do you mean you don't see it? It's right in front of us." You explain to me what the hell that was. And there's lots of other examples. New York City, when the lady got taken out of the tower, and the UN ambassador and the 2 Secret Service guys saw this lady being taken out of thing. We did get altogether, we found about 300 reports of this out of a city with 8 million. Now, granted, New York is only big for looking up. Well, they probably are now since 9/11, but before that, they weren't real big at looking up. But there's lots of these reports all around the world. Here's an old one for you. This one is about 700 years old. I found out about it because it's in some artwork. So this is in London, England. This artist had been painting these weird orb things of all different sizes and colors and shape, all different colors, that were floating through London and looking like they were like grabbing people and sucking them up and then setting them down somewhere else in the city. Okay, well, interesting, but probably be it. Oh, no. The local media picked it up, and it was actually stories written about this. And the local, I forgot what they call him. He wasn't mayor. There was something else, but actually saw it as well. 700 years ago. There's another story about a city in outside of Israel back about 1,400 years ago when a silver disc came up, a blue disc came up. Well, a silver disc that put out a blue beam of light came up and blew the gates up and let the invading army invade. This had been a 3-year siege. Both sides, the winners and the losers, reported the same thing. A disc came up to the gate and blew the gate up, and then they sieged the city. What is that? Remember, nothing flew in the sky back then. That's why I always tell people start in the ancient world and move forward, because anything flying in the sky more than, 250 years ago, however long the first air balloon was that flew, anything before that, there's nothing flying in the sky but birds. That's it. Birds. So if you start getting pictures or images or seeing things, I mean, there is stuff through the stories from the birth of Christ all the way up to about the Middle Ages of things flying in the sky. One of my favorite ones is Mary sitting there on a rock, and you see these 2 things going across the top. And they have a streak going behind them. So at first you think, oh, maybe an asteroid meteor, but they are on a straight. But then there's someone inside of each one of them. There's some type of spacecraft. No doubt about what those were. It's all over the ancient world, everywhere. And everyone predicted it as something else because they didn't know what an extraterrestrial was. But we do now, and I guarantee you a lot of those little people stories were grays. I'd bet money on it. It's so here we are today. We understand things a little bit different. Sorry, that lousy grammar there, but we do understand things are different now, and we see the world differently. But still, when you go back and you look at all these things I was just talking about, you have to wonder why only certain people can see ET ships. I mean, think about it. I mean, we catch them all the time. People say they see this, they see that. Then why are we seeing them? What was it? Gulf Breeze, Florida. This is another one of my favorites. I was actually there for this one, by the way. So Linda and I decided out of the blue, we needed a real vacation. We were going to take like a 14 or 15-day vacation. Took a couple of grand out of the bank, took a couple of credit cards, and hauled ass to Gulf Breeze. All right, loaded up the station wagon full of everything, threw the 3-year-old kid in there and went. First night we were there, we run into unsolved mysteries. All right, so I'd been doing radio for about 2 years at this time. The guy, oh no, see Joe Sir, so I was doing radio about 4 years. So the guy recognized me. He recognized my voice, and we got to. He said, "I listened to your show, Wake Up USA. It's great, man." We got to talk, and he told me what they were there for. That they had been seeing all these weird things in Gulf Breeze. Well, we knew about the Ed Walters sightings because I was one of the ones who worked on the case. But so we're there. He said, "Look, we're going to invite you tomorrow night. We're all going out to this fishing pier, and they've been seeing UFOs out there." I said, "Well, sure, I'll come with y'all." And I asked Lynn. She said, "Yeah." So we left the Sand Dollar Hotel where we were staying. We checked into the Blue Horizon because I wanted to stay there at night because they have these really great breakfasts in the morning. And so we went out that night when we checked into the hotel. We went out and we're standing on the fishing pier. So there's the fishing pier, the main bridge, which has been rebuilt since then because of Katrina, or not, to Ida, one of them. And then there's a train trestle. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking the other way out towards the bay. And I see this green light. It's out, I don't know, mile out there. You can just see it pulsing, glowing green. It looked like glow stick under the water, moving fast. So I'm pointing to the camera guy. So he swings the one the camera, and he's out there, and a bunch of people turn around and look because we see it. So we're all watching it. Within 5 minutes, I don't even think it was that long, it's almost to the bridge we're on. So it goes under the bridge through the channel, and we're watching as it goes through. Then it goes under, well, first it comes under the fishing pier where we were on the channel. Then it went through the main bridge under the channel. Then it went out to train trestle out to the thing. Then it stopped, and it went from green to gold. And it started rising out of the water. It's just coming out like this out of water. And as it is, there's these gold globs of balls just rolling off of, dripping like molten something. Don't know what it was. They just go big globs dropping in the water. And it looked like it was gold because when it hit the water, it would flatten out. So we're all watching this, and it just sat there, and we're watching. Man, there's cameras all over. There's 2 different film crews out there. Plus, everybody's got cameras. You're just listening. All you hear because it wasn't really cell phones back then. Not like we have today. And so all this is going on. So, I'm like, wow, look at this. So there was 500 people on the bridge. Only half of them saw it. Now this thing slowly lifted up and then zipped and came back, and it kind of lifted over Gulf Breeze and went over the park where there was a football game going on, and then zipped out and took off again. All together, I think 1,000 people saw it. What is it? At the game alone, there was more than that. So what was going on here? Why do only some people see it? Because I think you have to be touched by it to see it. Once you've been taken on board or something along those lines, or something's happened, or you've been in close contact, I think it gives you the ability to see them. It's probably once you crash through whatever that field is that keeps them cloaked. I think once you do that, you can probably see them. And no one's been able to prove me wrong, because once I start talking about mass sightings and you realize how many people should have saw it, and how many people actually saw it, there's an issue. The ones we just talked about, like Gulf Breeze and Arizona and Mexico City, these are all sightings that have been, looked at a lot of times. They're very popular. There's too many witnesses to deny it happened. Just like the ones that happen in Europe, there's just too many witnesses. If there was 1 or 2 or 3 witnesses, you might say, oh, it's some kind of hallucination. When you start talking 10, 100, 1,000, 5,000, 1 million, it's just too many. You can't really deny what happened. All you can try to figure out is what it was. Now, the Belgium triangles flew over Belgium quite a lot. For about a decade there, a lot of people think they were a version of the SR-71 Blackbird, not the SR-71, the X-117, the stealth craft, which may have been true, but these things seemed to kind of float along, so I don't think that's what they were. So more than likely, they were the original versions of the TR-3Bs, and we were just testing them over there, or somebody was testing them over there. But for whatever reason, they were being seen, and then it just quit. There was 10 or 12 sightings, and it just quit. But, I mean, they have UN tape. They have the UN pilot talking about this damn saucer, asking if he should fire on it. These are trained pilots. You can't say it was full of bull because there was people on the ground said they seen it as well. But then the other 3 pilots didn't see it. There were other times though when pilots saw it as well. So I don't know what to tell you, people. These kind of sightings are really, really, really hard to get around. There's been sightings in Seattle that were group sightings where people had seen them. There's sightings in Florida where there's group sightings. There's sightings all over where there's group sightings, and but it's never the whole group. Like the Pensacola sighting, this thing came coming along the beach, probably only about 600 or 700 feet off the beach. So as it's going along, the beach is full. It's summertime. It's in the afternoon. It's people out doing whatever they're doing in the beaches in the summer. And this thing's just cruising along. And what was weird is you'd see some people stand up and point, and some people just ignore it, like it wasn't there. It was weird to watch. I didn't get a video clip of it, but I got a little video clip of the people doing it. And I was like, what the hell? Yeah, it doesn't ever seem that UFOs, they always seem to come out blurred. I think some kind of magnetic field or some type of field distortion around them. Well, I did learn this, and I learned this the hard way. The closer you are, the worse the shot. But if you got a good camera and you're off like a half a mile away, you can get a good close-up shot. I got a couple of them that I've posted over the years online, and they're good. I mean, you can see detail in the craft and everything. But I was always like a half a mile to a mile away. I just had a camera. I had one camera I used to carry on with it before it got destroyed. Had an 88 times zoom, 88 times zoom plus its original 20, so it was 108. I mean, you could get some really good detail at really long distances. It was a great camera. It got destroyed. I had it for a long time, though. It was one of the very first ones that came with a built-in SD drive in it. Yeah, I liked it. It was great. I got another one I picked up when I was in LA just recently for taking long-range shots. Yeah, I used to have a 35 mil. We used to use, I think it was Kodak 400 or Kodak 800, and it was high speed film, whatever it was. But man, they just got too expensive. And now they got these all-in-one cameras that come out that have built-in audio, built-in video, built-in camera with way better zoom, and you can even upload them to your car. You can put them on Bluetooth and be uploaded to the internet while you're taking pictures. It's just better technology, unfortunately. It kind of hurt the 35 millimeter mark. I always did like them, but today I got to be honest, it's just easier. I got one coming in. I ain't gonna have it for Dragon Con, but it's another one coming in. It's a movie camera / video camera / camera / audio setup. It's even got its own built-in mixer software and own built-in editing software. Yeah, I mean, 35 mil, how's it gonna come meet? And it's like a third of the price of just a cheap 35 millimeter. So how are you gonna compete with that? I know. Yes, Glenda, I will be at Dragon Con. I will be Dragon Con away. I'll either be there at press or just as a thing or both. Depends what kind of mood I'm in. I do a lot of work when I go to conferences. It's vacation my ass. I've never gone to a conference that was a vacation. You can't even call them working vacations because we just stay busy the whole time. It's one of the very few times we get to meet up with a lot of people that we don't get to necessarily see all the time except online. So it's nice to see people in person. Sometimes we'll set up hypnosis sessions while we're there. On the hypnosis, we do charge unless it's an ongoing case or unless it's something that you show us that we might be interested in taking on as a case. Then we don't charge for hypnosis. But generally, hypnosis start around $200 and go up depending on what we're doing. I would say on average about $250. Yeah. A regression for an abduction is probably around $250. That really depends on you how long it's going to last, but on average we do anywhere from 2 to 5 hours. There's a couple of people I've done like 5 days or 10 days in a row where we've got like 60 or 70 hours in. Well, if you're really looking for what's in your head, that's the way of doing it. Funny you brought that up. I was talking with a friend of mine, Martha, today about I was talking about I don't really first off we were talking about, aliens can upload your consciousness into a new body, which is something we talked about earlier. But so being in hypnotherapy, I've learned some weird stuff. So I've hypnotized people to the moment of birth or in the womb, which I only did it because I didn't think it was possible, but it is actually possible. You can regress someone already back to the moment in the womb or the moment of birth. And so a couple of my friends who had NDEs, which are near-death experiences, because I've had two myself, so I was interested in what they saw. And for the most part, and this is weird to me out still, and this is what I was talking to Martha about, they describe them almost exactly the same. So I see a tunnel. This is a person dying. I see a tunnel with white light, and I see family members there waiting to embrace me. Okay. This is a birth. I see a tunnel with a white light and family members waiting there to embrace me. What's the difference? Are we actually just being reborn at the moment of death? Or are you just going into the first baby? This is a good argument because for abortion people, they don't think the baby has a soul till the moment of birth. Well, if that's true, then this is probably what's going on. When you die, the first baby that's the closest baby to you being born, that's where your soul would go. Because remember, there's 8 billion people on this planet now. So we're dying, even if we're dying at 1.5 a day, we're not replenishing the 8 billion. So with just say if they would have had to pull souls from somewhere else, so wouldn't some of us be going back or going ahead? It might be a better way of saying it. But that it alleviates any crossing over or hanging out or being in heaven or hell. Maybe that's the way it works until you finally reach the point where you can go somewhere else. I know theories. Some of these theories I do make people crazy like that one. Okay, because you can't really argue with it, isn't it? It's a pretty damn solid theory. It's like Michelle DeRoche hates when I bring up dimensional bleed through. She wants to slap me every time. She ain't the only one. There's several paranormal people who wish I would have never brought that up because it's a good argument against ghosts and demons. So is it more possible that dead people are coming back, or are we seeing people, the same people on the other side of the veil, but they're just alive? Because, I find it interesting when people describe seeing their dead ancestors, their dead loved ones, especially somebody that's close to them, they almost always describe them slightly different than the way they remember them. Like, I was watching, my dad came to me after he died. He was wearing this yellow shirt and these, green pants, something my dad would never wear, something I'd never seen in my entire life. Or my mom's hair was different, or it was a different color. We get a lot of these. And the real explanation for that is when you really come to that point where you're just so distraught and so pulled down, and that I think you can cross the veil. I think there's an emotional barrier that when you hit it low enough, that the sheer whatever it is you want to call it allows you to cross that veil. And when you do, a lot of times you may just pop into you in the other side. So let's say you're laying in bed and you're crying, you're completely distraught. You can't even take it. You can't even concentrate. I mean, the depression's there, everything's there. You're just to the point where you really just want to leave. And all of a sudden you look up and a family member standing there. Well, I tell people now to look around because you might even notice that the room you're in might be slightly different. And some people actually catch it and some don't. But if you're laying there in bed and you're just completely devastated, it might let you cross, and you might pop into yourself in another world, in another dimension. And that person who comes up to talk to you, to console you for whatever reason, is not actually dead. They're actually alive. Because remember, we do believe in the multiple dimension universe now, which means there's versions of you all over the damn place. So if that's true, then I can't see why a distraught person couldn't pop into their cells in another dimension. Oh, actually, there's a lot of movies about that, but the one that comes to mind right now is The One. Mm-hmm. It's I guess you could call it a karate movie, really. Well, I don't know about kung fu movie, whatever you want to call it, but yeah, it's not Jackie Chan. I can't think of his name now. He's been in a lot of movies, but anyway, you should go check it out. Yeah, he keeps finding himself and killing himself in other dimensions so he can gather their power. And it's one of the other things I like to talk about, because if dimensional are true, then there's no need for reincarnation, is there? Which is another blow that people hate that I talk about. And what I mean by that is, if there's one of you in every dimension, what do you need reincarnation for? Because sooner or later, all of you are going to die and you'll just snap back into one being, which means you've learned every lesson possible. Even reincarnation couldn't teach you that. In order to live 1 trillion lifetimes or 1 billion lifetimes as one person is impossible. But if there's a trillion of you out there, it's pretty easy, isn't it? You could do it in a couple of lifetimes or even just one lifetime. You could probably learn everything in the entire universe in one lifetime if there's that many dimensions out there. It all depends on how many dimensions are real and how many dimensions you're actually in. And can you bring that information across? I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure you can tap into yourself in other dimensions and get the information if you're strong enough. It might even be why people think of cosmic consciousnesses, because you're actually accessing a conscious. It's just yours, or someone close to you on the other side, maybe not on this side. Because a lot of times things are just different. They don't always describe them like they would describe them if it was your house. And I have, like I said, a couple of people now have mentioned when they're seeing the individual that had died in their life and the room they're in, sometime, like the one gentleman just the other day said, the room this happened in is just a white bedroom. It's just white. But when I seen the individual, the room was blue, not white. So that suggests they weren't even in their room. It suggests they weren't even in their dimension when they were seeing this individual. I don't know. I'd rather believe in that than to thinking all the dead people hang out waiting for us all the time. Do you know how miserable that would be? Do you want to be a ghost and remember all your family and friends and everything else, your kids and grandkids and everybody else? Watch your great grandkids being born and have nothing to do with them. That just doesn't even sound fun to me. It sounds miserable. Now, if you believe in religion, like in Christian religion, when you die, you cross over, you don't remember any of that. Yes. What could be purgatory, Jack? Earth could be purgatory if we want to get into that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, man, Earth could be purgatory. Y'all want to think Earth is a prison planet? Maybe it's a purgatory planet. Well, purgatory's got to be somewhere. It does. It has to be somewhere. Well, if you believe in it, it has to be somewhere. Christopher, I don't know. There are several religions on the planet that have ET involved. I know Scientology's one. I know the Mormons are one. I think the Quakers. There's a half a dozen at least that ET plays into the religion. Hell, the Mormons want to leave and go to another planet. What are you talking about? They definitely believe in other worlds. They were talking about worlds like this one 1,000 years ago. No, probably not that long. Probably about 100 years ago. But still. Mm-hmm. Can you marry an ET? I don't know. Go propose to one and find out. If it comes to your house, I would propose to it. Hey, Joanne, I didn't even see you in there, baby. How you doing? I don't know. All I can tell you is it seems like there's much more that goes on than just us. And it seems like we confuse things sometimes, like dimensional bleed through and ghosties. So do y'all know how many paranormal groups there are in the United States? There's a lot, several thousand for sure. At least 4,000 or 5,000 paranormal groups. Some are good, some are crappy, some are in between. But so in order for all these groups and all these television shows and all the stuff that goes along with them to see all, how many ghosts it means has to be left behind? How many of your friends and family and relatives are just floating around in anxiety, in pain, in anguish? You see, I just got an issue with that. I don't know. I just have a fundamental issue with that. Well, okay. For there to be ghosts and demons and all that, that means there has to be something on the other sides. Okay. Whatever controls the space where they are, why does it leave them there? Why doesn't it just pick them up and send them where they need to be? I'm just asking. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a really good system if a third of the people who died are floating around in the dead space. Well, because people tell me all the time, oh, this one's from 500 years ago. This one's from 1,000 years ago. This one's from 300 years ago. What are you still doing here 1,000 years later? What are you still doing here even 10 years later? I mean, give me a break. What the hell are you doing here? Go to hell wherever you're supposed to go and come back. Maybe that's the people who missed their opportunity to be reborn. Yeah, maybe for some reason, or maybe there wasn't a baby when their soul jumped and they were just stuck. You can ask that for yourselves. Wait, what? Wait, stop. Rewrite that because that made no sense. I've seen something about tarot and something else. And no, I'll wait. Hold on. Where'd my list go? Oh, there it is. Good. Some of y'all are actually writing in the real chat room tonight. I am just stunned. I'm sorry. I'm stunned. There's a bunch of y'all writing in the real chat room tonight. Anyway, as far as them coming here and saving us, it's not going to happen. They haven't done it, and they're not going to do it. As far as them wiping out, killing us, or eating us, they haven't done it. See, this is the problem when people tell me this stuff. Actions always speak louder than words. Always. Doesn't matter what it is. Actions always speak louder than words. I am a member, yes. I'm a member of Mensa. I had my IQ officially done at 16 years old. I had been tested at 14, and it did so well that they actually tested me at 16. Mm-hmm. It's available. Oh, I don't know if it's available with them anymore because that's like, God. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if anybody's still there that's alive that when I went, but regardless, it is available online somewhere, and it's been mentioned in other shows. So I don't like to talk about it. I feel like I'm boasting. And let me explain something about IQs. IQ means absolutely. It means that you have the ability to think in abstract better than the average person does. It does not mean you're going to be richer, faster, smarter, or brighter. It just means you have the potential to be. You still have to use it in order for it to be anything. Well, who was it? What was the guy from The Odd Couple? He had a 200 IQ. He was an actor. He didn't save the world. He didn't even change the world. He was an actor. He was the clean guy in the, with Oscar. Was it Oscar and Felix or Oscar, whoever it was? He was the clean guy. IQ at 200. There's lots of people out there with IQs 150, 160, 180. Doesn't mean anything. Again, you have to use it. You have to apply it to something. And why apply my IQs to something? I apply my IQ in the idea that I like to think in the abstract. I like to think of things that nobody else thinks about. And it's funny because I've had conversations with lots of different people of things that should be easy to figure out, but seem to be hard for society. But eventually they figure it out. And it always bothered me because I see things and I'm like, all you got to do is do this. And that's easy. But obviously it doesn't, work like that for society. So I wish I was a brilliant person. I'd be a lot richer than I am. Well, that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is I like being lazy. So, I think everybody should be given $1 million at birth and then $1 million at 15 and $1 million at 30 and so on and so forth until you die. I want it to be like Star Trek where you can just go off and do your thing and not have to worry about clothes or a place to live or a place to eat. That's the way the world should be. Do you know the stuff I could accomplish if I didn't have to be working all the time? Give me a break. There's lots of stuff I want to do, but I'm just not going to ever be able to do it because I have to support myself and support other things. Yes, it's just unfortunate. It's life. What I think they said the average IQ is, I don't know, it's either 100 or 120. I forgot. It's been a while. It's boring, whatever it is. The majority of people have probably like a 115 or something, 120. It's I mean, most people are just stupid. It's not their brain, it's their way they think. I mean, it's not their IQ, it's just the way you think that gets you in trouble. Yeah, or egos. Oh, them damn egos, man. I don't know. Some people can do the ego without getting in trouble. Some people cannot. I know. I don't have no. Who said? I ain't got no damn ego. I am like sweet and nice as fresh driven snow. Yep. I'm serious. If you believe that, I have some land right next door. It's never had any water on it or nothing. I'll sell it cheap, $150,000. Come on down. Actually, that is cheap. Oh, for it didn't matter if it had water on it or not. Everything down here gets water on it. That's kind of a moot argument. But we got 12 minutes. Any questions y'all want to get in? We started a little late, but I want to get them in. Actually, what I was really going to talk about is the actual agendas tonight. But I got off on that stupid rant about our ignorant society and what we need to do to change it that I just got confused. I'm about to change the title. Only intelligent people should listen. Were you trying to give me in trouble? I'm already in trouble. I mean, look, Twitter kicks me off every so often. YouTube's done taking 2 pages away, one that was making buku money. Twitter's taken 3 100,000 people pages away from me. It's a fight. Right now, the international page on YouTube, they're trying to take from us. I know it's an ongoing fight all the time. That's what happens when you're brilliant. People come after you. Look at poor Elon Musk. I knew that would get y'all. Elon, I like Elon. I got a crush on Elon, man. That's my man crushes Elon. Yeah, oh yes, buddy. Oh, would you think I should dress up like grunge and grow some boobs? I don't think it would matter. Jimmy don't write shit like that anymore. I can't even read the whole thing you wrote because it's hilarious, but it'll get me in trouble. But no, I think the man is brilliant. I think he is what Bill Gates wanted to be. And I think he is what Steve Jobs wanted to be. And maybe he's learned from their mistakes. Steve was brilliant, and Steve got out there and pumped his company and worked hard and sold it to us and make us want to think about innovative ideas and how things could work. But Elon's taking it to the next step because he's got into the politics of it. Not only does he show you, look, I will bring us to Mars, I will bring us to the moon, I will get us in deep space, I will single-handedly save this damn race if I have to. But he points out every day that our politics is our problem. And I got to give him credit for that. I really do. You don't necessarily take a side. I mean, every now and then he does. He takes a side against, who's in office, but that's only because Yoo-hoo does crazy stuff. But no different than the last Yoo-hoo. I mean, politically wise, but not attitude wise. Michael Imps. Nice to meet you. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle Imps. I apologize. Yeah, I don't know. It looked like Michael for some reason. That is, I did mention that on the air. I was talking with some friends about that, we're going to form a new organization. ICAR is going to become the database for the new organization. The reason why is the International Community for Alien Research, ICAR, the acronym is ridiculous. There are so many companies with at one time, ICAR was number one, but there's so many companies now, like the one for the Indian reservation, one for cars. There's just too many of them. It gets lost in a mishmash of different things that have nothing to do with the particular topic of ICAR. So, and we'll have a new website for it and everything. It's something we've been talking about. And we've been changing directors and all and stuff like that around as well. Sometimes you got to change things. It's a new time. ICAR served its purpose. It was an abduction research organization looking for people who said they've been taken by aliens, and we wanted to see how many we could find. Currently, we're close to 90,000. So it's whatever you want to make out of it. For me, it's just pieces of the puzzle, my friend. Just like the political pieces, the religious pieces, it's all pieces of the puzzle to me. I'm just putting it together and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. What do you mean? Okay, first off, I don't believe in extraterrestrials. It's like religion. You want to believe in something that's religion. With extraterrestrials, you either know they're real or you know they're not. But there's no really in between. I mean, I don't know how to explain that to you, but there's no real in between. No, you either know they're here or not. You've either seen enough evidence, or you've seen them personally to know they're real, or you haven't. Now, I've talked to people who have met presidents that have seen them. I've talked to people about all sorts of different things. For me, I'm convinced. It's not a matter of belief. I'm convinced. So I have no doubt that the planet's being visited. I have no doubt the planet's been visited for a long time. What the final play is anybody's best guess, but we track a number of agendas. I want to say the organization is currently tracking 100, maybe slightly less than agendas, different little things here and there. Mm-hmm. Well, because people think it's about us. Again, ego comes into play. This is not about us. This is about the extraterrestrials and what they're doing here and what they're up to. It's not about what we want or what we're going to get out of it. It's about what they want to do and how they want to do it. It's like a lot of things they do are not so much to benefit or to hurt us. It's just what comes out of the agenda. So in other words, they're doing this experiment may hurt a human. Well, it's not intentional, but that's what the agenda led to. Or this human may gain something or our psychic abilities may evolve or whatever, but this is what it led to. No, Mark, again, psychic abilities are not latent in everybody on the planet. That's a BS. Here, I say this, I've been saying this a lot lately because everybody keeps telling me, oh, everybody's got psychic abilities. Bullshit, they don't. They don't. It's probably just the original 15%. So whatever the original abductions that happened way back in the day, those are the people who have psychic abilities. As a matter of fact, for ICAR, we won't even talk to somebody if they're not gifted an empath or telepath to even talk to them about being a contactee, because if you don't have those abilities, you're not a contactee, or whatever you want to call yourself. Okay. I'm listening to your argument. Listen to mine for a second. This is not even an argument. This is something for you to go do. I want you to buy a deck of colored cards. No numbers on them. You can get numbers, but colored cards work the best. So they got a deck that comes with like 50 cards in it, or 20 cards in it, and they're all different colors. You only need 2 of them, mind you. Let's use blue and green. No. Let's do too close. Let's use yellow and red. Okay, so I'm gonna take a yellow and red card. I'm gonna look at them, and I'm gonna set them down on the table. Okay, I'm gonna look across to you, and I'm gonna think to you: the right card's red, the left card's yellow. Okay, if you're empathic, you know it. And remember, it's only 2 cards, so it's 50-50. You should at least get it right half the time, even if you're not psychic. Isn't that what you would think? Like flipping a coin? Well, that's not true. Most people won't even get it right 30 or 35% of the time, which means there's no latent psychic anything there. But the people who get it right tend to get it right 70, 80, even 90% of the time. That's a gifted individual. If you're over 60%, you're gifted. If you're over 80 or 90%, you're extremely gifted. You can probably get in people's heads and understand things like most people won't in their entire life. So it's an easy test. Now, kinetic abilities. This is another easy test. You take 2 candles and you put them about this far apart. Okay, 2 inches. Get the taper candles so they got a long flame on them like this, and then light them on fire. Now, they're not going to touch each other on their own. But if you have true telekinetics, you'll be able to make those candles touch. I've seen it done many, many times. I've seen people try for lifetimes and not being able to do it. And I've seen it done many times. It's if you have the ability. See, it's not hard to test for an ability. That's why what's his face, Randy, fat face, he wants to test abilities, and if you got the ability, he'll give you $1 million. That's not true, because there have been people who have tested. He just didn't want to accept it. Because he didn't want to give it $1 million, basically. Telekinesis is not something you find a lot on the planet, but empathic and telepathic abilities are. And I'll tell you how you know that telekinesis is not a big thing. This is pretty easy. So if let's use Donald Trump. Let's say Donald Trump. Oh, no, this is even better. Let's use Hillary Clinton, because there's a lot of dead people around her anyway. Let's say she possessed telekinesis. Bill would already be dead. He would have got an aneurysm in his brain a long time ago. And he would have kicked over. Probably half of the people she knew would have been dead by now. But more than that, let's say you're the president of the United States or Russia or China, and you have someone who has telekinesis. You could kill Xi Jinping by thought. No one would ever know. It would look like he had an aneurysm in the brain and just died, which is a common thing that can happen, or an aneurysm in the heart, or a blood clot of anywhere of consequence, lung, heart, liver, anywhere, it would have killed him. And it would have looked like natural causes. Do you know how many people we'd have killed by now? Or for that matter, anybody else? Do you know if Putin possessed this ability? Donald Trump would have surely been dead. Every president that's been in office since he's been in office would have been dead. Xi Jinping probably be dead. So we know that you don't have these abilities. Oh, but we got people that can block it. Well, they got to know it's coming to block it. So that's not true. We just don't possess those abilities yet. That's when people tell me about all these crazy things we're doing. Well, it's not true. We would use those today. Do you know how easy it would be to conquer the world if we could kill the leaders with thoughts? And make it, because we could weaken a nation, have several strange accidents over a 2-year period. You could weaken a nation enough that you could come in and take over. It would fall, it would crumble, and you could just come in and offer things that it couldn't do on its own. It wouldn't be that hard. But we don't have those abilities. Not yet, anyway. Not by any real stretch of the mind. Like I said, I have seen people who can do limited telekinesis, but I haven't seen anybody who can project it over long ranges or go in someone's head or body and do damage. But I have seen people that can, make candles twirl together and lift things off. I've seen some people floating coins around and stuff like that. And, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter distance. Telekinesis, telepathy, or any of that shouldn't matter on distance at all. I think that's all up into your own brain, your own limitations. Remember, for the people who have these abilities, you're only limited by your own thoughts and your own mind. And of course, the way you were raised. Most of us are taught by the time we're in our 20s that none of this stuff is real. And then it's reinforced many, many, many times by our family and our friends and the media that this stuff isn't real. So eventually you just, okay, well, it's not real. I was just having fantasies when I was a kid, or so on and so forth. Well, but it is real. And we are learning more and more every day. But we got to get out of here pretty soon, guys. So who else has got Sandy Lane? Hey, Sandy Lane. How are you tonight, Sandy Lane? And where are you writing from, Sandy Lane? Orleans, France. Well, hello. Well, you're our namesake, Orleans, France, from New Orleans to Orleans. I'm actually on the Gulf Coast tonight, but still nice to see that. You might be the first person we've ever write in from Orleans. Well, we get people writing from France from time to time, but I don't know. I'd have to go back and check, but it's still cool. Anyway, what I got for you? What you got for me? I apologize. Yes, I do believe that extraterrestrials are real and the planet is being visited. And I believe there's hardcore evidence for it. Let me put it this way. I've got more than enough evidence to win a case in court. There's already one case been won for the existence of extraterrestrials, but between the witnesses we got and the data we got and the information, nobody could beat us in a court of law because we've got everything it takes to win a court case. Yeah, everything from evidence, physical evidence to eyewitnesses. So yeah, it would easily win a court. Remember, people always tell me this. Well, go by the standards of evidence for court. No, because I can do that. What you want me to go by is the evidence of the standards of science, which is much harder to prove. Yes, it's much harder to prove in a scientific way, but when we're talking about court, oh no, we'd win the court case every time. Yeah, it's easy to prove in a court of law. Yeah, with all the evidence and all the witnesses, it's an open and shut case. But for science, it's not. For science, it is a curiosity that may be real, and there is some physical evidence, but not enough. No, I like doing it like that. For me, it's important that we do this the right way. It's one of the reasons ICAR was formed, because there was so many charlatans, so much bullshit out there. We wanted an organization that looked for evidence and did its own research and brought in hardcore researchers and met anybody we could that could authenticate stuff or not authenticate stuff. You don't know him. I mean, we've been wrong many times, and I've, as far as I know, I am the only organization that ever went out and said, hey, we were wrong. And this is what we think now because we were wrong because of this. And we've made mistakes and we've corrected the mistakes. We didn't do like all the famous ufology, get on a case and stick on it and that's it. Oh, it's Roswell or it's Betty and Barney Hill or it's, and then they just get stuck and that's it. And that's all they ever talk about. Well, that don't do crap. That's one case and you can't even prove one case on its own merit because you need multiple cases to, it's like science. Just you only repeat it one time. It's not for real. You have to be able to reproduce it multiple times. It's the same thing with this kind of evidence. You have to. So, that's where we are today. I'll come back to it in a second. Melissa, where are you from, Melissa? Oh, Seattle, Washington. It's dangerous up there, man. You okay up there? I hear Portland and Seattle are not the great cities they used to be. That's a shame because I wanted to visit both of them. I got friends that live in both of them. Yes. I have heard that Puget Sound is very busy. We've got several pictures of underwater UFOs cruising through there. We've got pictures of Seattle. Seattle's a hot spot. Actually, Mount Rainier is a hot spot. That's where we had the Cub Scout group taken from, 200 of them. 200 troopers along with a dozen scout personnel, parents, not parents, but you know what I'm talking about. There was 202 troopers and the rest were... the people who took care of the troopers. Yeah, 202. Anyway, long story short, because we got to go. UFO came out of the mountain. They witnessed it. All of them witnessed it. Big saucer came out of the side of a mountain. And then after they witnessed it, they noticed that out of nowhere, military trucks rolled in. There was a bunch of them. Took them all down to some base. They don't even know where it was. Questioned them for days. And then told them if they ever talked to anybody about it, not only would they put them in jail, they would put their family in jail along with their mothers and fathers and everyone else. I found out by accident. I was doing a radio show with, I was actually on another, not doing my show, I was on a guest, and they had on Peter Davenport, and we were talking about his database. And he told me he had heard this. So I went on the air and I asked, and I started doing a lot of shows asking if anybody was there. And then finally one guy wrote to me, and then a couple of women wrote to me. And then after a while, we had about 12 witnesses wrote in. And then about 6 of them were Boy and Girl Scouts, and the rest were people who worked there. But it was an interesting case. Spooky. But anyway, we got to go. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. I am Joe Montaldo. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Any moan, groans, bitches, or gripe, you can write to Michelle DeRoche about that because you don't want to know what I'm going to write back. So you might as well write to Michelle. And again, we are looking for a couple of hosts in the network. We always are. We're pretty full staffed right now, but we are looking. We're looking definitely for a female host for the Centralist. So if you think you can handle hanging out with a couple of guys, we might bring on two, but right now we're looking at one. So if you think you can hang it out and you know your politics well and you're familiar with your different players in the game like Nancy and Chuck and McConnell and all the rest, and yeah, we're doing auditions on it. No, nobody gets paid. Only if the station gets not the station. Only if the show gets syndicated. If it gets picked up and syndicated, then everybody gets paid. But it is up for an award right now. We got to the finals. So there were 5.6 million people voted, and UFO Undercover, this show, and the Centralists both made it to the finals. And also, Writers of the Future made it to the finals. We were notified about 2 weeks ago. So if you're in that 2,500, please go vote for us. I got free books, lots and lots and lots of them. Starting tomorrow, we're giving books away, guys. Yeah, so keep a listen out. Different shows will be doing different things, but they will be giving books away. And I will have some at Dragon Con with me. I'll also be up there with Writers of the Future people, so they might have some good stuff they might want to give away as well or sell, whatever may be going on up there. So come by and say hi. But be sure you write to me at iCartCox.net because I don't know where I'm going to be. I'll be all over the place, and I may stop and even visit my sister and see how she's doing because I love my baby sister. Oh, yeah, I haven't seen my niece yet. She had a baby. I haven't seen her. I need to bring her something. So I'm going to give her a call and see what's going on, and then I'm going up to hang out in Atlanta for a few days. On that note, good night, and stay tuned for the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche, the fabulous Michelle DeRoche, and the very calming and sweet Amelia Passano. On that note, good night, and see y'all next week.